So tell me about the shop, actually. How long you've been in business?
I've been in business 20 years. It's my 20th year.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
It's a big deal. It's
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
So, and part of the
I've
community now.
Lived in Westfield pretty much my whole life.
Huh.
And this is my third real job after college.
What did you go to school for?
I went to school for teaching
Nice.
and architectural engineering.
Wow, so you have a
So
major and
I have
minor?
I have an associate's degree in architectural engineering from Alfred,
Wow.
and then I have a bachelor's and master's from Oswego in technology.
You know, we're trying to
education.
film over here.
Sorry.
Bless you. All right, sorry. Can you say that again?
And I have a bachelor's and a master's in technology education from Oswego.
Wow. And then, so after you graduated,
I taught for 12 years,
wow.
high school, middle school, and then I went to work for Better Baked Foods, and
Oh, where's Better Baked Foods?
In-
You're the second person I've heard that said this.
they are in Westfield. They make the bread in Westfield, and then they produce the pizza
Right.
in Northeast. And I worked in Northeast. I was a supervisor
Okay.
for 5 years, and then this came up for sale, and I decided I didn't want to make pizzas anymore.
So you were a supervisor at Better Baked
Mm-hmm.
on the pizza. And is that all they make?
Yeah, they make French bread pizza,
Oh, right.
and they
Now,
also
so
make
are they-
breakfast bagels and
Anything that you can
they
put on
kind-
bread.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
So when you started, was it a lot smaller? Did it grow over the duration?
No, not really. It stayed about the same, but they make over 2 million pieces of pizza a day.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's branded, so Stofers can purchase, right? It's not just
Yes,
one.
they make
the
all.
raw
They make Red Baron pizza. They make
Stofers and
Marie Callender, Stofers, all
Wow.
that kind of stuff.
wow, that's a good business actually.
Yeah.
You know, it's the right business to be in
Yeah.
because you just get
It was
everybody.
actually started from two guys right around the area.
Was it
They
really?
started out in Sherman, and then they
Where's Sherman?
about 10 miles up the road,
No kidding.
and then they put their first plant in down here in Westfield.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now that has kind of been with Welch's and Better Bake. Was a core employment of the town for a long time, right?
Yes.
Those two. Now you just kind of were just like, hey, I want to be in business for myself. This came up. Now you had said, tell me about the prohibition. So this is started the day after.
Yeah, this has started pretty much the day after Prohibition. It's been a liquor store, through the 40s, 50s, 60s.
Wow.
I know that Hazeltine, the family of Hazeltines owned it in 1965 because when I bought the place, I found a calendar upstairs, and it has Hazeltine's Liquor Store, 47 East Main Street in Westfield, and so that's one of the pieces of history I found in the
That's
place.
cool.
Yeah, it was pretty neat to find it.
Well, I love the fact that.
And I know Bill Stratton owned it for a lot of years,
Right.
who's a Westfield guy and still lives here.
Wow.
And his son still works here. He's got a big business
Really?
in town. Yeah, Stratton Construction. And so, and I went to school with Mike. And, I mean, if you live in Westfield, pretty much everybody knows you. And
I'm learning that.
it's pretty cool.
It is. I love it actually,
Yeah.
and it's one of the things that it helps really define the town. And a lot of towns give that lip service, but it's true here.
Yeah,
And-
I call myself a Westfield boy. I love Westfield.
Yeah, it's a magical place, man. I found this place, and I'll spare you the story because of the time today. I'll tell you some other time, but I found this place out in California. I fell in love with it, and it's one of the reasons that I wanted to move home. This town was a doorway for me to reintroduce me to what I didn't know about Western New York. We grew up in a restaurant, 32 years. We always worked. We never took a vacation. I left, moved to Boston, then I moved to California, and I never got to travel and see Western New York.
Okay, can we turn that on?
Yeah.
Nice. Come on up, dude.
People from Buffalo don't get down here. Nobody seems to know that it's here, and it needs to.
It's a shame, really.
Well, I'm gonna, it's not gonna happen like right away, but over time, as
I mean, with the bed and breakfast we have.
Oh, it's awesome.
All of them are pretty cool.
When I was in,
to be honest with you, I raised my daughter, or I wasn't married, and I met my wife in my first job, and in Sydney, New York, and when the job position came up here, I
jumped.
I said, I'm gonna try for that job. So I tried for the job and got it, and actually asked my wife to come with me, and then we got married here, and I got divorced after 7 years, but we had a child, and my kid grew up here, and she did fantastic. But for having the saying, raise a child with it takes a village.
Yeah, it's true. It is true, and kids don't get that nowadays.
No,
and they didn't get that even when I was growing up. I grew up in the '80s, and it was kind of the land of latchkey kids.
But you know what? In Westfield, I grew up in the '80s too. I graduated in '83.
'86.
And this village raised me also. My dad's been a dentist in town he was a dentist in town for 43 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
so everybody had to know your dad. Unequivocally, because your dad was a dentist.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure there wasn't 100 dentists here in town, right?
No, just 2 at the time.
Wow. How cool. And your decision to come back to town was a no-brainer, just like so many people's decisions here. That's part of all these shows. I haven't seen a town, I had a kid show in Northern California for 10 years, and I did do travel segments, and just from talking to people, I've never seen a town with this many people that chose to come. It's a different thing if you're born and raised and you can't leave. It's a whole nother thing when you leave and you decide, you know what?
It's unfortunate we don't have a lot of things for younger kids to come and work at.
Right, because employment's
it's kind of tough. And I lucked out because my daughter came back.
She did?
Yeah.
Wow.
She got a degree in nursing, and she's working at the...
That's awesome. Right down here?
At Absolute, yeah.
Is that what that's called down here? Or?
Yeah, Absolute Nursing Home.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and she's doing very well.
So she did the same thing, though. She decided to...
Right.
And she is lucky.
But she met a guy she's engaged right now, and she met
right there, right?
Yeah. And she met a guy from Jamestown, and he's working in Faulkner, and they bought a house in Westfield. So
good looking couple too.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Thanks.
That's awesome. And how nice is that she came?
It is.
It's it's good to have her here. I'm sure. Now the business. So you obviously the store has been part of the town for, like you said, the day after Prohibition.
Yeah, a long time.
And given that, it's part of the community. It's a really deep part of the community with a really big root.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm the hub of Main Street.
Right.
One of the big hubs.
Yeah. Well, due to the length of the time that you've been here, it's a liquor store. It's a place people congregate at anyways.
Right.
Oh, you can come in. Sorry.
I thought you were filming.
Oh, we are.
We are.
You can come and go as you need to. Yeah.
He'll edit.
Just given the fact, I always think liquor stores are kind of like a barbershop to a degree.
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
Because it's social.
It's a very social hub. I'll tell you, out of all the jobs I've had, this is bar none the most fun. I'm happy as could be doing this job.
Nice.
I love working for myself, and it's a good business.
It is a good business, and
if you run it correctly.
Right. And I think a lot of them aren't run correctly.
Correct.
And one of the things that you can see as soon as you walk in, like I told you, you just feel the store. You walk in, and it's got that awesome, been here, established.
It's homey.
Beautiful store. Yeah, it is homey, and it's a beautiful store. The way the light comes in, and I love how you kept everything. The beautiful ceiling on this is incredible. You couldn't buy that now.
No.
It costs an arm and a leg to do that.
I know.
You know, the same thing with all of this, the way that you have it decorated.
Yeah,
And has it changed a lot over the years? Did you put anything in here that hadn't been here, or?
Just like different shelving, and I, built a new counter, and
Right.
just I rearranged it a little bit and spruced it up a lot, and other than that,
It's pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same.
And people would respect and want that too.
Yeah.
I'm sure, because it's, you come back to your hometown, or if you live here, you want to see this.
Yeah, I just cleaned it up and modernized it
Yeah.
a little bit.
Awesome.
But I also kept a lot of the old hometown
Sure.
kind of thing. Like, I'm not computerized. I
love that.
I write down everything that everybody buys, and because that's part
That's
of
great.
the state regulations and all that
Sure.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love that though.
So
Listen, we had in our restaurant, I was 32 years old when we sold it. We still had the original cash register.
yeah, I think that's neat. Yeah.
We did everything on paper. And honestly, for this business, it's very it's a media business.
Well, it's amazing to me how many people come and say, "Oh, you're not on the computer? You're writing it down old school?"
I love that.
I'd like to be old school.
Yeah, I do too. And I run the vast majority of my business still on comp notebooks and pens. My desk, underneath my desk, I have 2 drawers. They're open face, and they're just all comp notebooks.
Yeah.
It's tactile. I want to see it. I want to touch it. And I do a ton of computer stuff, and that really helps me get away from that too. But I grew up like that. That's what we did. That's how we ran our business. We guest checks. We didn't have any, computerized stations. It was all guest checks. We did all of our bookwork like that.
Right.
So, and it fits, right? It does.
It does.
And you don't need to, so why bother?
Right.
Right? If you don't need it, don't.
And I can sell stuff when the power goes down.
You can. So product lines. You have everything pretty much, right? You have wines, and liquor. And
Wines, liqueurs, champagnes, anything from A to Z.
Westfield products.
I have some Westfield products. I carry Johnson wines.
Nice. So you carry Fred's stuff.
And I carry a little bit of Mazza stuff.
Okay.
But I'm only 15 feet across and 60 feet long, so you gotta kind of be choosy about what you're putting in. And
yeah, that makes sense.
I have a huge line of bourbons.
You do.
Bourbons are my thing.
I was just going to ask. So, did you have so that was your thing before you even?
Yeah.
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 So, and
when I wrote my first game plan, I guess you'd call it. Your business plan.
Yep.
One of my things was to have a big line of bourbon, and so far, I have a lot of people coming from Erie and all over the county to my store for different kinds of bourbon.
Well, and you build your client base off that, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Because you know what you're talking about, so you can steer people, right?
Right, and I'm the closest one to Pennsylvania, so Pennsylvania stores will not special order stuff for you.
Oh really?
And being privately owned, I can order whatever I want. So I have a lot of people from Pennsylvania and Ohio that come in, and they'll call me and special order stuff.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
I get a lot of case buys from that.
Right,
so
right.
Works out pretty good.
And then same thing with is Scotch same thing, or is bourbon like a big?
Bourbon's my biggest.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll order whatever you want.
Right. But bourbon's, and it's your wheelhouse, so you're very comfortable, and you know the industry, you know the brands.
Oh yeah.
You know the style.
Been to the Bourbon Trail.
Flavor. What's
Kentucky.
Bourbon Trail? Oh, it is. There's a bourbon trail like we have a wine trail here.
Oh yeah.
So
Huge.
bourbon. But it started with was it Jack? Jack's whiskey.
Jack Daniels is actually Tennessee, Lynchburg.
So Kentucky is bourbon. So what's the big Kentucky brand? Isn't there one?
There's Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
Is probably one of the biggest bourbon producers.
And
they're actually the longest running, continuous running distillery in the country.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
So they started way.
Yeah, and they went. They started before Prohibition, and they went through Prohibition, being medicinal. Yeah. They made it through doing that. And
That's
then
awesome.
yeah,
Right.
but
Whatever worked.
but they make big brands like Eagle Rare and Buffalo Trace,
Gotcha.
Blanton's,
Okay.
all those, Pappy Van Winkle.
Wow.
So-
Now, what is that your number one seller as far as product goes? Is bourbon like?
Bourbons, no, probably vodka is
Vodka?
is the biggest seller.
And the vodka market's
Just
exploded. Right?
yeah, just because it's a lot of drinks are made with vodka,
Right.
and people just there's not a huge taste of vodka.
Yeah, it takes on the
so
profile.
people can make mixes
It's
out
the,
of it.
It's the chicken of
It
the
is
liquor
kind of the
industry.
chicken
You
of
can do anything you want
liquor.
to do with it.
Right.
You can do with it. Yeah, you're right. I never even thought about it until you just brought that up, but that's probably why, because all the other alcohols have such a distinctive flavor.
Oh, sure.
That you can't get away from the base profile. But vodka is all
Right.
over the place. You can add to it. You can keep it
Right.
straight. You can add to it. The manufacturers love to play with it.
Right.
So it
I'm
has
not
a-
I'm not as much of a chicken guy as I am a hamburger guy, so I'll stick with a bourbon.
Oh my God, that's funny. So bourbon's a hamburger of a, and it is, right? Because it's a strong profile.
Sure it is.
You know,
Yeah,
and you
absolutely.
can't really you can play with it, but to a degree, and then you'll lose its core.
Right.
Right. That's awesome. So your hours, you open 7 days a week, or?
In the summertime, I'm open 7 days a week. In the wintertime, I'll go to 6 days a week. I'm open Monday through Thursday, 10 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And then Friday, Saturday, I'm open from 10 o'clock to 9 o'clock.
Awesome.
And then Sundays, Memorial Day to Labor Day, I'm open noon to 5.
And then if you had just met me on the street, like, what would you tell me about the store? Like, if I was like, "Oh, you own a liquor store?"
I have a great variety of wines. I believe I like wine. I have a great variety of bourbon, and I'll get you whatever you want.
Awesome. So I used to live out in wine country in California, and one of the things that I used to say, and I meant this sincerely, and that's why I want to move here, that if you overlaid, I always, like, if I could take that and I could place it in Western New York, I'd be happy. And I was hoping that Westfield was going to be what it is, but I didn't know, and it is. It's literally like if you took wine country in California and just slapped it over Western New York, you would have Westfield.
When I was in college, my nickname was Biggins because my last name is Habig, and my first two initials are TW. So that's kind of how it's got its name. I was actually at a Christmas party with a friend of mine, and he goes, "What are you going to name the place?" And I said, "Well, I'm not really sure." And he said, "Well, why don't you name it Biggins?" Because he heard one of my old college buddies call me that.
Right.
We were at a hockey game one night, and one of my college buddies was there, and he's like, "Hey, Biggins!" And so he was with me. He goes, "Biggins?" I said, "Yeah." And so we were at this Christmas party, and he goes, "Why don't you name it Biggins?" And I said, "I can't. It's a little risque for Westfield." And he goes, "Well, put your first two initials in front of it." So he's the one that named it pretty much.
Wow. Listen,
So-
if you do that, like,
Yeah, because people in town they'll say, "Hey, you got to go down to TW," or "I got to go to Biggins."
Right.
So
wow. Well, that was a stroke of brilliance of your friend too to name it, because it's a perfect name, and it's a perfect name for what it is too. It sounds like an old-fashioned pharmacy, or
Yeah.
a liquor store, or a
English,
barber,
old English
pub.
pub.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's what I like about it.
Yeah, so you nailed it, with this whole thing. So I had to mention that because I thought it was just the best name.
No,
ever.
I appreciate it.
I remember the first day I went through town, I was like, "Oh my God, that's an awesome name!" And I saw that it was a liquor store. I was like, "Get out of here!" And it works in the context of the town. It's perfect for it.
Yeah.
Because liquor has played such an important part in this town's role in this region. And
Yeah.
for the town, just period. Like, what would it be without the grapes? Who
Yeah.
knows?
You never know.